Most Solana versus Ethereum videos are a scoreboard. Transactions per second, fees, a winner. That framing has been wrong for years, and in the last 12 months it stopped being merely wrong and became actively misleading, because both chains shipped changes that alter what you are even comparing. Ethereum's most recent upgrade landed in December. Solana's is mid-rollout as I record this. If your understanding of either predates those, you are comparing two machines that no longer exist. I'm Rachel from ChainSense. In the next 7 minutes, how the two are built differently on purpose, how each decides what happens next, and which one actually fits what you are doing. The single difference everything else falls out of. Solana is one machine. Ethereum is a settlement layer with a family of machines on top. On Solana, execution, consensus, and data all happen on the same chain. One global state. Every application sees every other application. Every pool of liquidity sits in the same place, and there is no bridging between different Solanas because there is only one. Ethereum went the other way, deliberately. The base layer increasingly does settlement and data availability, while most actual execution happens on rollups. Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, ZK Sync, Linea, and others. Ethereum's throughput is not a single number anymore. It is the sum of an ecosystem. That change is recent and real. Blob capacity, the cheap data lane rollups use, roughly doubled through last December's upgrade and the scheduled capacity steps after it, and Layer 2 fees now sit in cents rather than dollars. The catch on Solana's design: one machine means one blast radius. Everything shares the same fate. The catch on Ethereum's: the ecosystem is fast, but your money lives on a specific layer, and layers are not interchangeable. How does each chain decide what changes? Completely differently, and neither way is obviously better. Solana votes. Proposals go to a stake-weighted on-chain vote, and the numbers are public. The consensus overhaul passed with over 98%. An inflation change was rejected outright. A follow-up was withdrawn before it reached a vote. That is decisive, legible, and fast. The catch: stake-weighted means the largest holders decide, and when a proposal touched validator economics, big and small operators split along exactly the line you would predict. Ethereum does not vote. Changes move through a proposal process, developer calls, and rough consensus among client teams, with no token ballot anywhere in it. The catch: nobody can point at a number and say that was the mandate. It is slower, it is harder to read from outside, and rough consensus is doing a lot of work in that sentence. One is a democracy weighted by money. The other is a committee weighted by expertise. Pick your poison, honestly. Ethereum launched in 2015 and has never stopped producing blocks. It has had finality stall briefly, twice, in the same week back in 2023, and it kept going. Roughly a quarter of all Ether is staked. Its slashing has been live for years and has actually been used. Solana launched in 2020 and has fully halted 7 times, most recently February 2024. Since then, roughly 2.5 years clean. Its second independent client is live but holds a minority of stake, and it has no live slashing at all. Violations get recorded. Penalties are still a proposal. The catch on Ethereum's record: age is evidence of survival, not of good design. Plenty of it is old on purpose and slow because of it. The catch on Solana's: 2.5 years is genuinely the best stretch it has had, and it is still shorter than the gap between its own previous quiet spells. Make it concrete. You want to send a friend $200 of a stablecoin, then swap some of it. On Solana: one address, one network, one transaction. Fees in fractions of a cent, confirmed in about a second, and whatever you want to swap into is on the same chain. There is nothing to choose because there is nowhere else to be. On Ethereum. First question: which layer? If you are both already on the same rollup, it costs cents and takes seconds, which is genuinely comparable. If your friend is on a different rollup, something has to bridge. If either of you is on the base layer, you are paying dollars, not cents. So the honest version is not Solana is cheaper. It is that Solana removed the question, and Ethereum answered it well, but left the question there. For a first transaction, that difference is enormous. For someone who already knows which layer they live on, it nearly vanishes. The decision frame. Plainly. Pick Solana if you want one place to be. If you are doing consumer-facing or high-frequency things where a second of latency and a fraction of a cent matter, or if you are new enough that which layer is a question you should not have to answer yet. Pick Ethereum if you need the deepest liquidity and the most institutional plumbing. If you are building something that benefits from a specialized execution environment, or if maximum settlement conservatism is the point rather than the cost. Pick both, honestly, if you are doing different things. Most serious builders already have. And a real caveat on this frame, both of the things I have just described are moving. Solana's consensus is mid-replacement. Ethereum's capacity is on a scheduled ramp. Check the state of both before you commit anything that matters. Here is the mistake I want you to stop making, because almost every comparison makes it, quoting throughput and fees for one layer of Ethereum against all of Solana. Ethereum's base layer was never trying to be fast. It delegated that job upward. Comparing it to Solana on speed is comparing a clearinghouse to a till. The mirrored version is just as bad, quoting Ethereum's whole ecosystem throughput against Solana's single chain, without saying that the first number is a sum across many chains with liquidity split between them. And on Solana's side, historically a large share of the headline transaction count was validators voting on the chain itself, not people doing things. The upgrade rolling out now moves that off-chain entirely, which will change the number without changing the usage. The rule: whenever you see one of these comparisons, ask which layer and ask what is being counted. 9 times out of 10, one of those two questions kills the argument. Same word, blockchain, different machines entirely. Next in this series, the two staking models side by side, including the thing Ethereum does to mistakes that Solana still does not. Subscribe to ChainSense. I'm Rachel. See you in the next one.